Hey everyone, Synth Designer back again with another video. Today I wanted to talk about 3 retro bass presets that we can make on Serum. You heard them in the opening. The 3 were the FM bass based on the Yamaha DX7 from the Tears for Fears song, the Juno-60, and the Mini Moog. All 3 of these have a unique place in history and are just great vintage bass presets here. So we're going to go through Serum and I'll show you how to make them. Before I begin, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe. And actually, a couple of these will be on my upcoming preset pack, Synthwave Essentials Volume 3. In the meantime, you could download Synthwave Essentials Volume 1 and 2 on my website. They're completely free, no sign up required. Check them out in the description. So let's get into it. So let's start with the FM bass. Now FM stands for frequency modulation, and luckily Serum has the capability for FM. Now none of these presets will be exactly like you hear in the songs. However, we're trying to get as close as we can. So let's take a look at the wavetables. We have 2 saw waves and a sine wave. The sine wave is actually turned all the way down. That's because we're only using it to do the frequency modulation here on oscillator A. The sub is turned down 2 octaves, while this one is actually turned down only 1. And you'll find that the fine is actually turned down as well, so that gives us a kind of a width to it. And I actually have this on 4 unison voices, just to give it a little bit of dimension. So let's play it here. So you can hear it has that kind of slight width to it, and I blend it here without going too far on the stereo image, because it could get pretty wide, but I really want it more up the center because it's a bass sound. Now, I have the frequency modulation actually tweaked by the envelope. So the envelope 2 here is actually just a regular kind of pluck sound. It's a short or a medium decay and no sustain. And it's also on the cutoff here. So you can see they're very similar, but they create that unique sound. So if we bypass it, it's really low, obviously, because the cutoff is super low, but it gives us that great bounce once we activate it. And the FM from B here is really what makes it sound the way it does. Now we can turn this up, but it gets kind of wonky in spots when we turn it up. Now, there's a lot of uses for more frequency modulation, but I think in this case, keeping it right here is perfect. It gives us a great depth to it. The effects here are actually very simple. I only have a little bit of chorus here. Let's turn it off and on. I mean, it's very slight, but it gives us just that little bit of width again. And the equalizer just takes out a little bit of the low end and a little bit of a high as well, because there's I found a little notch in here that I didn't like. Like you could see it gets really, really boomy in my opinion when you turn on all the sub bass, but you may need it. So that's just basically it. I mean, the FM bass is super simple, and the song that I used there, the Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, actually, they used a preset from the Yamaha DX7. So anybody who's afraid to use presets in their songs, don't be, because some of the greatest songs used stock presets. So moving on to the Juno. Now, Serum is great because it has these Juno wavetables. You don't often find these in certain synths, and they really give us that unique sound. And you'll find in the next to the Juno and the Moog, they have a certain character to them that's very similar, but they still have a couple of unique aspects to them. So let's get into it. Now, you'll find this in the analog section as well for the wavetables. And here's how it sounds. That classic Juno squelch, or is how they call it oftentimes. And that's created mostly by the envelope connected to the filter again, and with a higher resonance. So let's take the envelope off again here, off the filter. Let's bypass it. Again, it's kind of boring here because it's on very low. And when we put it back on, it has that quick back and forth, right? Because it's a quick decay and no sustain again. So it opens up and closes very, very quickly. And that kind of gives us that sound. And the resonance is the other important part here. Really kind of playing again without the resonance. And you can really turn it up, and this is oftentimes you can automate it to make it sound, you know, even squelchier if you want to say. Just that classic great Juno sound. And that's used in so many different types of songs, especially like retro 80s music, and even into the 90s it was used quite a bit. So let's take a look at a couple other things here. I did turn these both down. One is down 2 octaves and one is down 1. And the other one has, again, 4 voices of unison just for a little bit of width. The other thing is on the effects here, I have some chorus and some distortion. Let's turn this off and see how it sounds. Yeah, the distortion's very slight here. I put a little bit of tape saturation, maybe give it a little bit of upper harmonics. But when you turn it up too much, I find it gets really too distorted. It kind of ruins the sound a little bit, so I keep it around here. 3/4 or so. And again, the chorus is, it's on here, but it doesn't give too much. It just gives it a little bit more dimension. So that's basically it here for the Juno. And remember, this is not the exact recreation, and the Juno itself, the Roland Juno-60, had so many different types of presets, and it was used in a lot of different ways. But this is basically going to give you the gist of it, and it'll help you make whatever kind of music you want. And again, this will be in my upcoming preset pack completely for free. Okay, so lastly here we have the Moog, or the mini Moog. And I've titled this one the Moog-ish, because it's not going to be exactly the same. Here's how it sounds. This one again is based on a couple of unique wavetables that Serum has. Luckily, Serum has so many different wavetables, and they have actually what's called the basic MG, the basic Moog. And let's hear how it sounds on its own. That really gives most of the sound here. And then I use this mini bass to give it a little bit more beef. I have both of these turned down 2 octaves, and actually have this sub bass only turned down 1, and it's on a basic saw. And again, much like the Juno, it's a lot of it's based on the envelope to the filter and the resonance being up. So let's bypass the envelope again. Oops. Turn it back on. There we go. And if we turn the resonance down, so the resonance is really doing a lot of that work, giving us that peak there. Again, this is a pretty simple patch. It doesn't require much, and that's because a lot of these retro sounds weren't complicated. They didn't rely on crazy effects or anything like that either. The one thing I have here is the distortion on the effects. I have it on the stomp box setting. It gives it that nice little drive, and I have it on the preset here, and I have it up a little bit. Not too high, I don't want all those upper harmonics here. Almost almost all the way there. So that's about it for this video. Hopefully you get an idea of how to create some of these retro bass presets now, and just want to remind you that they will be available for download in my upcoming preset pack, and you can get my first 2 as well on my website. So hopefully you've learned something in this video and enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.